Okay, so hello everyone. I welcome you all to this session basically focused on APSC upcoming prelims. So from today we'll be starting as determined, we'll be starting our free course on APSC relevant topics, be it some of the static topics, be it some dynamic topics, be it some in relation to the Assam portion. Everything we will basically cover in this period, which we have aimed to be around 1000 hours. Okay, and in this respective hours you will be getting some of the relevant topics which are very very important with respective to your APSC CCE 2022. Okay, so with today we are going on to solve some of the recent previous years questions. Okay, and today I have taken a topic of Indian polity. Okay, so we will see some of the previous year's question with respective to Indian polity which have which have been seen in the UPSC civil service examinations, okay, in the past. Okay, so therefore I welcome everyone in this platform to Civil Service Achievers Point. Okay, so we'll be starting with the today's content. Okay, so therefore if I wants to say a brief about the proportions of polity questions that has been asked in UPSC. Okay, so you can see the trends about how the number of questions has been asked. So since we have seen that APSC is today following the same type of syllabus as well as this question types are also very much same. So therefore we could see that even this type of questions may be expected in the coming APSC prelims. Okay, so therefore we have to go with the various static, dynamic as well as the parts associated with every subjects so that we could directly be successful in this respective upcoming prelims. Okay, so therefore we will start with some of the questions, but before starting I just want to mention about our respective course, that is the online course at rupees 5000, where you will get every number of this contents, be it the prelims and the mains lecture, prelims plus the main study material. Okay, then you will get the ethics paper, current affairs, solve question papers, prelims mock test series, mains mock test series. Okay, then you will get guidance with respective to your answer writing sessions. Also you will get some essay classes, CSET, as well as the personal interview guidance program that will be after mains. Okay, so this all will be in a short amount of around rupees 5000. So this is basically an online course. If you want to join us via offline medium, you can join our course, which is at a smallest discount of around 15000. Okay, so therefore you can register over here by scanning this respective code, and you can come to us or also call at this number 9127515541. Okay, so here today we will go ahead with discussing some of the questions that have come in the recent past. Okay, so we'll be directly been going with the questions as well as answers, as well as some of the brief about the respective topics that we are discussing. Okay, so before starting the questions, try to solve the questions. Okay, and we will directly go with the answers. Okay, so we will not waste time because we have a aim of covering around 1000 MCQs before the APSC prelims. Okay, that is with respective to each and every subjects that we have got. Okay, so now starting with this, that is the distribution of power between the center and the states in the Indian Constitution is based on the scheme provided. This is a scheme in 2012 UPSC. So we have got this 4 number of acts that we can see during the British time. So here the correct answer is this, that is C, that is Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, now if I go to the second question saying which one of the following is not a feature of the Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, so here we can see diarchy at the center as well as in the provinces, bicameral legislature, provincial autonomy, and lastly we could see all India federation. So here the answer will be A, that is diarchy at the center as well as in the provinces. So during this Government of India Act of 1935 we cannot see the diarchy going through the provinces. So it was basically diarchy at the center. So this one is a wrong feature which has been mentioned over here. Okay, coming to the next question, going with the question 3. In the context of Indian history, the principle of diarchy refers to what? So here the correct option will be D. That is division of the subjects delegated to the provinces in two categories. Okay, so that's the basic idea of diarchy, because we know that when the diarchy was at the center, it's basically the subjects under the federal list were divided into two, that is reserved as well as transferred. Okay, so therefore we have got two subjects, that is the reserved as well as the transferred with respective to the hierarchy. So that means what? That means this is two categories of subjects delegated into provinces. Okay, so that is going with the question number 3. Now coming to the next one, question number 4. In the interim government formed in 1946, the vice president of the executive council was Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, so 1946, we have seen an interim government that was formed, and the vice president of this executive council was the first prime minister of India, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, now coming to the next one, who among the following was the chairperson of the Union Constitution of Committee of the Constituent Assembly? Okay, so here we can directly analyze who can be the respective chairman: B.R. Ambedkar, J.V. Kripalani, Jawaharlal Nehru, as well as Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer. So we could see that our Jawaharlal Nehru was the chairperson of the Union Constitution Committee of the Constituent Assembly. Okay, so this all questions came around in the previous UPSC prelims questions. So please be specific with the answers, which is basically going with the static portions of yours. So you need to recall and remember every number of affairs. So all this respective explanations which you have got. Okay, so we have got this explanations parts also. So all this explanations part you will be directly been getting in our courses as well as in our respective PDFs that we will give you after you directly register with us. Okay, then next question coming up is this one. Which of the following schedules of the Constitution of India contains provisions regarding anti-defection tax? So it is 10th schedule. Okay, so we know about how to remember the schedules. It is the tiers of old PM. Okay, tiers of old PM. So we can see T, territories, E, emoluments, this appointments, Rajya Sabha seats, scheduled areas, other scheduled area seats, federal subjects, official languages. Okay, so we can see that. Then we could see about the subjects that is going with the legislation. Then we could see about D being defections. Okay, then we could see panchayats, and lastly we could see municipalities. Okay, so these are the 12 schedules that we can see with respective to our constitution. So therefore here when I say about the 10th schedule, it basically means the anti-defection. Okay, so therefore this is the one. Next, if I go to the next question, which of the following schedules of the Constitution of India provides regarding anti-defection? So that we have already discussed. Now next one, which one of the following statements correctly describes the fourth schedule of the Constitution of India? Okay, so I have already said about fourth schedule, that is tiers. Okay, that is the R, which says about the seats in the Council of States, which basically means what? Rajya Sabha. Okay, so therefore we could see that D is basically the right answer. Okay, so this is the thing. Next, if I comes to the next question, that if a new state of Indian Union is to be created, which one of the following schedules of constitution must be amended? Okay, so we could directly see the answer to be what? A. That is the first. When I say tiers, TEARS, that means T means what? Territory. So when I say about any number of territorial relations, then the first schedule is a very correct answer. Okay. Then nextly, if I see about which one of the following schedules of Indian Constitution lists the names of states and specifies their territories, this is also the same one, that is the first schedule. Okay. Next. If I see the next question about considering the following statements. So the Constitution of India has 40 parts. Okay, there are 390 articles in the Constitution of India in all. 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th schedules were added to the Indian Constitution by Amendment X. Which of the following is or are correct? So I can see that question and the correct answer is only 3, that is this one. Because we know that the Constitution of India has got 25 parts as well as got 395 schedules. Okay, at the beginning we can see it was to be 22 parts. Okay, so therefore we need to remember about the number of parts as well as articles that we can see with respective to the Constitution. So Constitution of India does not has got 40 parts. It has got 22 parts at that point of time, and it has around 395 articles. So therefore here we could see that only 3 is of correct answer. Okay, next, if I comes to the next one, under which of the Constitutional Amendment Act 4 languages are added to the language under the 8th schedule of the Constitution, thereby raising their number to 22? So it was via the 92nd Amendment Act. Okay, and we could see that it is basically the Boro, Dogri, Maithili, and Sentli. Okay, so BDMS. Okay, so you can see, you can remember it like BDS, okay, Bachelor of Dental Science. So यहाँ पे बस एक M घुसा देना. So BDMS, Boro, Dogri, Maithili, and Santhali. So these were the respective languages that were entered or that were scheduled under the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, raising the number to 22. Okay, next, if I comes to the preamble, okay, so we could see that in the following quotation, with the people of India have learned all these things in our Constitutional Assembly, this date. Okay, so the date is basically what? 26th of November 1949. So this is the respective date that we can see that our preamble was, or our Constituent Assembly adopted and enacted and give ourselves this respective constitution. Okay, so this was with respective to the question. Next, the mind of the makers of the Constitution in India is reflected in which of the following? Preamble, fundamental rights, DPSPs, as well as fundamental duties. Okay, so we could see that the preamble directly goes with the minds, or the makers and their respective minds were relieved in the respective preamble. So यहाँ पे we could see that preamble can be the, is directly the right answer. Okay, next, coming to the next question, which one of the following objective is not embodied in the preamble to the Constitution of India? So that is economic liberty, because we have got liberty of thought, expression, and belief, but we do not have the economical liberty. So therefore you cannot see that this preamble is directly going with the economical liberty part. So here we could see the correct option being the B. Okay, next, so here for the new joiners, I want to just mention that we are having an early bird discount offer. So if you want to have this entire online course, okay, it is basically reduced to around rupees 5,000, where you will get all these relevant topics associated with our respective course. So you can join up with by going through this link or through this scanning, so that you could directly get an access to our respective courses. Okay, chalo next पे आते हैं. Question number 4. Which one of the following reflects the most appropriate relationship between law and liberty? So यहाँ पे if there are no laws, there is no liberty. Okay, अगर law नहीं होगा एक country में, तो obviously you cannot talk about liberty. Okay, there is prevalence of lawlessness. Supposedly take the example of Somalia. Okay, why country like Somalia today is a very disrupted country? Why disrupted state? Why we have got more pirates around the Gulf of Aden? It is just because Somalia does not have got specific laws to control the number of pirates happening in their respective country. So therefore, when you cannot see any number of lawlessness, there will obviously be no liberty, that is of thought, expression, belief, and its respective customs. Okay, so therefore, excuse me. So therefore, this is basically the correct option. Excuse me. Next, prohibition of discrimination on groups of religion is a fundamental right classified under the right to equality. Okay, so therefore, today in our respective constitution, Article 15 of the Constitution says about the non-discrimination on the basis of caste, race, sex, or religion. Okay, so therefore, on the basis of this classification, we could see that the right to equality is very much of enshrined under the respective prohibition mentioned in the respective question. Okay, so that's the thing. Next, we could see about in Indian Constitution, the right to equality is granted by 5 articles. And which are these articles? These are Article 14 to Article 18. Okay, so therefore, this 14 to 18 are some of the important provisions with respective to fundamental rights, which we could see in our respective constitution. Okay, so therefore, this right to equality says about is directly mentioned in this articles of 14 to 18. Okay, so therefore we could see that 14 to 18 clearly defines about each and every articles which basically relates with the types of equality, be it natural equality, be it social equality, be it civil equality, be it political equality, be it economical equality, be it legal equality. Okay, so therefore Article 14, which says about that state shall not deny any person equality before law. Okay, Article 15 says about state shall not discriminate on the basis of caste, race, sex, or religion, or place of birth. Article 16 says about that there shall be equality of opportunity for all citizens in matters of employment. And Article 17 says about the abolition of untouchability. Okay, and lastly Article 18 says about the abolition of all titles except militaries as well as academics. तो यहाँ के बेसिस पे हम लोग जानते हैं कि right to equality is mentioned under Article 14 to 18. Okay, next, if I see about this one, okay, so what are the codes that are mentioned? Okay, so here the C option is very much correct. Okay, so 2 is basically 1. Okay, then 2 1 4 3. Okay, so this is the correct option of match the following. Okay, so here all these articles are very much present, so already I have told you all these articles. Okay, then we could see untouchability is going with this one. 17 is equals to basically 3. Okay, so therefore you should go 2 1, then this 1 is basically over here, that is Article 14. This one is this. Okay, then 16 is basically this. Okay, so you should go with this. Okay, yaad rakhna. Then if I comes to the next article, next question, a British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to what? That is freedom of trade and profession. He could claim right equality before law, protection of life and personal liberty. Also, he could claim freedom of religion, but he cannot claim what? Freedom of trade and profession, because here the Indian citizens will be given more preference as compared to a British citizen. Okay, so यहाँ पे citizenship का जो acquisition है और जो termination है ये भी बहुत important बन जाता है. ठीक है. Next, which of the following are emphasized by the rights against exploitation in the Constitution of India? Okay, so here all this 1 and 4, that is basically this one and this one. That is prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, and prohibition of employment of children in factories and mines. So these are the two number of articles or provisions that are mentioned under this right against exploitation in the Constitution that has been discussed over here. So that is the correct option being 1 and 4. Okay, next. Okay, now coming to the fundamental rights portion, which article of the Constitution of India says no children below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any hazardous employment? So obviously it is under Article 24. Okay, so 24 is the article which directly says about all this. Okay, so if you see over here, okay, so 24 is what? This one prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mine, or other hazardous activities like construction work or railways. Okay, so therefore we could see that this prohibits the amount of work that about the children below the age of 14 years. Then a right to privacy is protected is an intrinsic part of the right to life and personal liberty, which is the following of the Constitution of India correctly and appropriately imply the above statement. So obviously here we could see that Article 21 and the freedoms granted in Part 3 are basically mentioned under this right to life and personal liberty. Okay, so therefore Article 21 is the correct explanation of the question that has been asked over here. Okay, because we could see that when I say about the protection of life and personal liberty, that means no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Okay, so therefore we could see that this is the article which formally gives some of the unprecedented exercise in the constitutional making, and thereby we could see about the protection of life and personal liberties clearly mentioned under this respective article, which comes under the part 3 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, next. Which one of the following statements is correct? That is, rights are claims of the state against citizens, rights are privileges which are incorporated in the constitution of states, rights are claims of the citizens against the states, and rights are privileges of few citizens against the many. So it's basically rights are claims of the citizens against the respective state. Okay, so this option here is the correct one. Okay, next. Which of the following are regarded as the main features of the rule of law? Okay, so when I say a rule of law, okay, so rule of law is basically the type of law that we can see in a respective country. So rule of law basically means, or it generally implies, that the creation of laws, their enforcement, and their relationships amongst legal rules are themselves legally regulated, so that no one, including the most highly placed official, is above the law. So इसीलिए in our country we follow the rule of law as compared to the procedure established by law. So therefore, the main features of the rule of law over here is question to the correct answer is basically the C, that is 1, 2, and 4. That is limitation of power, equality before law, and liberty and civil rights. Okay, this is the correct one. Next, one of the implications of equality in society is the absence of what? Privileges. Okay, because we can see restraints, fundamental rights हम लोग का absolute नहीं है, वहां पे भी हम लोग का restrictions रहते हैं. Okay, competition, obviously it is very much allowed in our country. Also we could see various different number of ideologies in our respective country. So यहाँ पे one of the privileges, one of the implications of equality in the society is the absence of privileges. यहाँ पे हम लोग के लिए कोई बड़ा कोई छोटा नहीं है, सब हमारे सामने समान है. So that's the thing over here, that is the correct option. Next, if I see, the Constitution of India recognizes what? Only religious minorities, linguistic minorities, religious and linguistic minorities, as well as religious, linguistic, ethnic. Ethnic को हम नहीं मानते, हम लोग क्या मानते हैं? Religious और linguistic दोनों को मानते हैं. And this is basically granted by Article 30 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so therefore all minorities shall have right to establish and administer education institutions of their respective choice. Okay, so it is basically defined under Article 30. Okay, next, if I see about this one, assertion and reason, the word minority is not defined in the Constitution of India, and reason, the Minorities Commission is not a constitutional body. So in the context of the above two statements, which of the following is correct? So both A and A are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and A are true and R is the not the correct explanation of A. A is true, R is false. A is false, R is true. So here I could go with the option B, that both A and R are true and R is not the correct explanation of A. So यहाँ पे दोनों सही है. The word minority is not defined in the constitution. Yes, it is not defined. Okay, ये बाद में हम लोग ने define किया है through an act. So Minorities Commission is not a constitutional body. Yes, there is no constitutional body known as Minorities Commission. Okay, so therefore we see that both the statements are true, but yes, we cannot see the R to be the correct explanation of A. So that will be the final interpretation, and therefore the question answer goes to be B. Okay, next, question 13. The 9th schedule of the Indian Constitution was added by what? The first amendment of 1951. Okay, next. Consider the following statements. Parliament of India can place a particular law in the 9th schedule, and the validity of the law placed in 9th schedule cannot be examined by any court, and no judgment can be made against it. Okay, so therefore it says about the correct statements over here is basically number A, that is the number 1. That is, the Parliament of India can place a particular law in the 9th schedule of the Constitution of India. A schedule में अगर कोई इधर का उधर करना है, तो therefore we could see that यहाँ पे पार्लियामेंट का ही पूरा हक होता है. ओके, यहाँ पे बाकी किसी का भी यहाँ पे we cannot see, there no state legislature or no one can directly interpret the schedules that are mentioned in the respective Indian Constitution. ठीक है, तो आज हम लोग जो 9th schedule में देखते हैं, okay, that is the abolition of the zamindari system. So basically it deals with the land reforms. Okay, so it deals with the state acts and regulations that deal with basically the land reforms and even the abolition of the zamindari system. Okay, तो ये हम लोग ने अभी भी पढ़ा है कि ये फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 1951 के तरह आया था. Okay, and we could see that in 2007 also the Supreme Court ruled that the laws included in the schedule after April 24, 1973 are thereby open to judicial review. तो आज भले से ही ये लोग अमेंड कर सकते हैं, ये लोग प्लेस कर सकते हैं एक पर्टिकुलर लॉ को, लेकिन इसका एक जुडिशियल रिव्यू का हक किसके ऊपर है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऊपर है. So therefore the validity of the law placed in 9th schedule cannot be examined by any court and no judgment can be made on it. ये totally wrong हो जाता है और ये 2007 के बाद ये totally invalid कर दिया गया है. ठीक है? So therefore 2007 Supreme Court verdict has ruled that they are now open to judicial review. ठीक है? Next पे आते हैं. Okay. The purpose of the inclusion of the directive principles of the state policy in the Indian Constitution is to establish what? Social and economic democracy. ओके, डीपीएसपी हम लोग जानते हैं पार्ट 4 में आते हैं, तो आर्टिकल 36 टू 51. ओके, सोशियो सोशियल 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 हम लोग का डीपीएसपी है सोसाइटी के लिए. ओके, एक होता है हम लोग का लिबरल इंटेलेक्चुअल और तीसरा होता है हम लोग का गांधीयन. ओके, सोशल और गांधीयन दोनों एक दूसरे से मिला रहता है और लिबरल इंटेलेक्चुअल बेसिकली गोज विथ सेइंग अबाउट समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी मच ऑफ कंसेप्चुअल इन नेचर. ओके, सो यहाँ पे डीपीएसपी हम लोग क्या करते हैं? सोशल और इकोनॉमिक डेमोक्रेसी को प्रमोट करते हैं. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट. Economic justice as one of the objectives of the Indian Constitution has been provided in what? Obviously in the preamble and directive principles of the state policies. ठीक है, क्योंकि हम लोग का जो पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस है या पॉलिटिकल जो राइट्स है वो हम लोग फंडामेंटल राइट्स से जानते हैं. ओके, और जो हम लोग का इकोनॉमिकल जस्टिस है ये बेसिकली बताया गया है डीपीएसपी में और थोड़ा बहुत प्रीएम्बल में. ठीक है, so therefore B option is the correct one. Next, according to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental for governance of the country? Obviously DPSPs, because without thinking in mind the DPSPs, the government cannot frame policies. Okay, so DPSPs को दिमाग पे रखना पड़ता है तभी जाके वो लोग पॉलिसीज बना पाएंगे. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए DPSPs have to be kept in mind when formulating any form of policies under the governance of the country. Okay, next. The idea of welfare state in the Indian Constitution is enshrined in, okay, welfare state, obviously DPSPs ही जाएंगे यहाँ पे. Okay, so DPSPs will be the correct answer of the idea of getting a welfare state. Okay, next. Consider the following statements. There is no provision in the Constitution of India to encourage equal pay for equal work for both men and women. The Constitution of India does not define backward classes. Okay, so which of the affirmation is correct? यहाँ पे obviously यहाँ पे only 2 होंगे. Okay, so we could see that here only 2 option is correct because answer is very much B. तो यहाँ पे हम लोग जानते हैं कि the Constitution of India does not define backward classes. ऐसा नहीं है, यहाँ पे define किया गया है. Okay, so we could see that there is no provision in the Constitution of India to encourage equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Okay, so यहाँ पे correct transformation is B. Now, next आते हैं. With reference to the Constitution of India, consider the following. Okay, fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSPs. Okay, so यहाँ पे what will be the correct answer? It is C, that is 1 and 3. So यहाँ पे 1 and 3, that is fundamental rights and DPSPs. Okay, so are the necessities of the National Social Assistance Program which is launched by Government of India at that point of time. Okay, next. Which of the following is or are included in the DPSPs? So obviously यहाँ पे कौन सा included है? ट्रैफिक ये इंक्लूड नहीं है. प्रोविजन ऑफ कंजम्पशन मेडिसिनल प्रोडक्ट, हाँ ठीक है, ये इंक्लूड है. ओके, सो ये डायरेक्टली हम लोग का इंक्लूड कहां पे है? इन द रेस्पेक्टिव डीपीएसपीज एंड देयरफॉर द आंसर गोज विद बी, दैट इज ओनली 2. ओके, नेक्स्ट. कंसीडर फॉलोइंग प्रोविजंस अंडर डीपीएसपीज एज एनश्राइन्ड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया. तो यहाँ पे कौन सा सही रहेगा? सिक्योरिंग सिटीजंस ऑफ इंडिया अ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, organizing village panchayats, promoting cottage industries, and securing for all the workers reasonable labor and cultural opportunities. तो यहाँ पे we could see answer to be 2 and 3. Okay, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो securing for citizens of India a uniform civil code, okay, so यहाँ पे ये वाला provision we cannot see, and also we can see that securing all workers ये भी नहीं है. So therefore the answer is going to be 2 and 3. Okay, next. In which of the following articles of the DPSPs deals with the promotion of international peace and security? So obviously it is Article 51. ये किस में आता है? Liberal intellectual में आते हैं. Liberal intellectual. Okay, next. In the Constitution of India, promotion of international peace and security is included in what? DPSPs. Okay, ये भी किस में आता है? Liberal intellectual में आते हैं. Okay, so this is under DPSP. Then instrument of instructions, ये क्या है? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 हैज बीन इनकॉर्पोरेटेड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, तो ये भी डीपीएसपी के तहत आता है. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, which principle among the following was added to the DPSPs of state policies by the 42nd Amendment Act? Obviously, here पे participation of worker in the management of industries. Okay, so this was basically added by the DPSPs by the 42nd CAA 1976, which is also known as the mini constitution of our country. Okay, then 13, consider the following statements with reference to the Constitution of India. DPSPs constitute limitations upon. So यहाँ पे किसमें limitations है? There is neither one nor two. Okay, because we know that DPSPs over here, okay, that is the phrase DPSPs, denotes the ideals of the state that should be kept in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws. Okay, so these DPSPs are basically non-justiciable in nature. Okay, and they are not legally enforceable by courts for their respective violations. So इसीलिए कोई भी यहाँ पे जाके डीपीएसपी इसका हनन के लिए केस नहीं कर सकता. ओके, नेक्स्ट, व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग प्रोविजन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया हैव बीन बियरिंग ऑन एजुकेशन? ओके, एजुकेशन में कौन सा यहाँ पे हम लोग का बात करते हैं? तो यहाँ पे 1, 2, 3, 4 एंड 5. तो यहाँ पे ऑल द रेस्पेक्टिव प्रोविजंस ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज डायरेक्टली बियरिंग एजुकेशन. डीपीएसपी भी एजुकेशन के बारे में बोलते हैं, रूरल और अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज भी बोलते हैं, 5th शेड्यूल भी बोलते हैं, 6th शेड्यूल भी बोलते हैं और 7th शेड्यूल भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है, सो ऑल दिस आर बेसिकली कमिंग अंडर द रेस्पेक्टिव बियरिंग ऑफ एजुकेशन. नेक्स्ट, in the context of India, which one of the following is correct relationship between rights and duties? Okay, so I could directly say here rights are correlative with duties. Okay, so we cannot directly say that rights are personal and hence independent of society and duties. No, this is not. Okay, so we could not see also that rights not duties are important for the advancements of the personality of citizens, and duties not rights are important for the stability of the states. Okay, so यहाँ पे we could see that correct option being the that correlation is being the rights are correlative with duties. Okay, so therefore we could see that correlation or dependence is any relationship whether casual or not between two random variables. So therefore we could see that this rights or duties are very much of correlative. मतलब अगर हम लोग को right चाहिए तो उसमें तुम्हें अपने duties भी करना पड़ेगा. Okay, supposedly we have got fundamental rights which are we are directly deriving in from constitution. So even under article 51A और part 4A के अंदर हम लोग का क्या है? Fundamental duties भी है. So if you are getting fundamental rights, obviously you need to perform fundamental duties so that this rights and duties are very much correlative in nature. Okay, next पे आते हैं. Which one of the following statements is or are true of the fundamental duties of Indian citizen? So it is basically here none of the options is correct. So are legislative person is provided to enforce the duties? Obviously no. They are correlative to legal duties. No, they are also no. Okay, they are only correlative to some of the duties that needs to be enshrined by each and every person living in this respective country. Okay, so ये basically यहाँ पे बताया गया है. Next, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, it is a provision made in obviously fundamental duties. Okay, क्योंकि हम लोग को sovereignty, unity और integrity को अगर बचाना है तो fundamental duties is a very important thing which every individual living in this country needs to follow this respective duties. Okay, so duties यहाँ पे हम लोग के लिए बहुत important है, which is clearly mentioned under 51A, which can be said as moral. Okay, which can be said as some of the moral duties, which can be even represented as civic duties. So यहाँ पे जो moral और civic duties है ये हम लोग के लिए बहुत important है और इसी के basis पे there are various number of provisions that are mentioned in this respective constitution. So आज के हम लोग के यहाँ पे 11 fundamental duties है, okay, which are clearly mentioned in our constitution about how you could directly see. Okay, so therefore we could see that this part 4A which directly provides about the importance of these fundamental duties, and therefore these fundamental duties are very much having a correlation with the rights that we can see in our respective constitution. Okay, next पे आते हैं. Which of the following is or are among the fundamental duties of citizens laid down in the Indian Constitution? तो preserve the rich heritage. Okay, इसके लिए fundamental duties जानना बहुत जरूरी है, पढ़ लेना. To develop this one, to strive towards excellence. तो yes, यहाँ पे 1, 3 and 4 करेक्ट है. दैट मीन्स टू प्रोटेक्ट द वीकर सेक्शन फ्रॉम द सोशल जस्टिस, ये कहीं पे भी लिखा नहीं है. So therefore this cannot be the correct option. So therefore 1, 3 and 4 is the correct option. Next, under the Constitution of India, which one of the following is not a fundamental duty? So यहाँ पे obviously develop scientific temper है, safeguard है, but यहाँ पे vote in public elections. That is A is not one of the fundamental duty. Okay. Next, consider the following statements. No one can be compelled to sing the national anthem. It will be violative to the right of freedom of speech and expression. It will be violative to the right of freedom. There is no legal problem obliging anyone to sing the national anthem. So यहाँ पे what is the option? 1, 2 and 3 are correct. So there is no legal provision which makes obligation for anyone to sing the national anthem. Also, it will be violative with the right to freedom of conscience, practice and propagation of religion. Okay, तो यहाँ पे तीनों आंसर्स हम लोग का सही है. Next. Okay, so therefore this is the Parliament of India which you can see over here. Okay, तो ये PDF में बाद में देख लेना. So which of the following will fit in the place marked X? Okay, so यहाँ पे बताया गया है about the Council of States, about the House of People, which is basically the Lok Sabha over here, which is basically the Rajya Sabha over here. Okay, so यहाँ पे what is this X? Okay, so यहाँ पे ये basically जो X है, यहाँ पे option है C, that is it is not more than 20 representatives of the UT. Okay, तो ये यहाँ पे बहुत एक important criteria बन जाता है. ठीक है. Next. Which of the following is or are stated in the Constitution of India? So यहाँ पे which of the following is stated? B. That is both 1 and 2. That is president shall not member either house of the parliament, and the parliament shall consist of the president and also the two houses. We all know president directly forms an integral part of the respective parliament, whereas the governor directly forms an integral part of the state legislature. Okay, it may be having legislative assembly or it may be having legislative council. Okay, so that is basically with respective to the Constitution of India. Okay, next, for election to the Lok Sabha, a nomination paper can be filed by whom? Any citizen of India whose name appears in the electoral roll of the Constitution. Obviously, is the correct one. Next. So the people who have joined late, so I want to just tell you that we have an early bird discount offer, okay, of rupees 5,000, an online course where you will get all this respective contents. So please do join ASAP so that we could directly have sufficient amount of time to prepare for the upcoming prelims. Okay, next. Question 4, the term of the Lok Sabha. Okay, so here what will be the correct option? Can be extended by 1 year at a time during the proclamation of emergency. And this is basically national emergency under Article 352. Okay, so this is the clause that we can see over here. Rest other can be under initial comes, obviously not. Can be no, can be extended for 2 years at a time of no. It is only 1 year. Okay, next. Regarding the office of the Lok Sabha Speaker, consider the following statements. He or she holds the pleasure of the President. He or she need not be a member of the House. If he or she is a Deputy Speaker, yes. Here, the option is only 3. Okay, so obviously, he did not hold on the pleasure of the President. Also, he needs to be a member of the respective House in which he is getting elected. And lastly, this is the correct answer. Next. The speaker can ask a member of the house to stop speaking and let other members speak. This phenomenon is known as yielding the floor. Okay, ये यहाँ पे याद रखना, what is yielding the floor. Okay, so that is the main important one, when the speaker can ask a member of the house to stop speaking and let other members speak. So this is basically known as yielding the floor. Okay, next. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on its prorogation. Bill pending in the Rajya Sabha which has not been passed by the Lok Sabha shall not lapse on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. So obviously यहाँ पे correct option will be B. That is, a bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on its prorogation. ये lapse नहीं होता है. ठीक है? Then a bill pending in the Rajya Sabha which has not been passed by Lok Sabha shall not lapse on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. It's a correct option. Okay, so we could see this 2 only is the correct option. Next. With reference to the Parliament of India, consider the following statements. Private member's bill is a bill presented by a member of parliament who is not elected but only nominated by the President of India. Recently, a private member bill has been passed in the Parliament of India for the first time in its history. Which of the statement is or are correct? Okay, so here neither 1 nor 2, because private member bill ऐसा नहीं है कि अभी pass out हुआ है, ये बहुत पहले भी pass out होते थे. So private member bill is a bill presented by a member of parliament who is not elected but only nominated by no, ऐसा होता ही नहीं है. Okay, यहाँ पे elected भी कर सकते हैं. Okay, elected, selected दोनों ही private member bill. Private member क्या होता है? Who is not a part of the respective government. तो वो private member होते हैं. ठीक है? Next. When a bill is referred to a joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament, it has to be passed by what? It has to be passed by a respective majority, which is known as simple majority, that is present and voting. ओके तो सिंपल मेजोरिटी के साथ, प्रेजेंट ऑन वोटिंग के साथ, जितने लोग वोट प्रेजेंट है, जितने लोग वोट कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं के साथ ही ये सिंपल मेजोरिटी से पास होता है. ठीक है. और ये जॉइंट सेशन में कौन सा बिल जाता है? ऑर्डिनरी बिल्स का ही जॉइंट सेशन में होता है, जहां पे लीड कौन करता है, प्रिसाइड कौन करता है? स्पीकर कौन करता है, और इसको बुलाते कौन है? प्रेसिडेंट बुलाते हैं. ठीक है. सो दैट्स द मेन इंपॉर्टेंट क्लेजर्स. देन a deadlock between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha calls for a joint sitting of the parliament during the passage. So यहाँ पे अभी मैंने बोला, so यहाँ पे one only है, that is what? Ordinary legislation. बाकी कोई का यहाँ पे सवाल ही नहीं है. ठीक है. Next, who among the following has the right to vote in the elections in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? यहाँ पे elected members of lower house of the state legislatures. Okay, every elected members of the lower house of the state legislatures have the right to vote in the elections of Rajya Sabha. Okay, also in the Lok Sabha. ठीक है. Next, so here if I consider the following statements, the chairman and the deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha are not members of that house, while the nominated members of the two houses of the parliament have no voting right in the presidential election. They have the right to vote in the election of the vice president. Okay, so यहाँ पे which of the above option is correct? Two only. Okay, so obviously chairman and deputy chairman needs to be a member of the respective house, that is the Rajya Sabha. Okay, while the nominated members of the two houses of the parliament have no voting right in the presidential election, they have the right to vote in the election of the vice president. Vice president के election में ये nominated members का voting rights होता है. ठीक है. Also इनका removal में भी होता है. ठीक है, ये भी याद रखो. Next, which of the following special powers have been conferred on the Rajya Sabha by the Constitution of India? So it is to pass a resolution empowering the parliament to make laws in the state list and to create one more all India services. Today, if I consider all India services, it is basically three services: Indian administrative services, Indian forest services, and lastly Indian police services. इसके अलावा सब क्या है? सेंट्रल सर्विसेज है, नॉट ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज. तो इसी के बेसिस पे अगर मान लो कल परसों एक और सर्विस बनाना है, सपोजली इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप सर्विसेज. ठीक है, तो इसके बेसिस पे डिसाइड कौन करेंगे? राज्यसभा करेंगे. ठीक है, तो दैट्स व्हाई दिस इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. नेक्स्ट, इफ आई सी द पार्लियामेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्सरसाइज कंट्रोल ओवर द फंक्शंस ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स थ्रू व्हाट? दिस इज थ्रू एडजॉर्नमेंट मोशन, क्वेश्चन आवर और सप्लीमेंटरी क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, सो इस क्वेश्चन आवर में बहुत सारे टाइप का क्वेश्चन है. स्टैड होता है, अनस्टैड होता है, शॉर्ट नोटिस क्वेश्चन होता है, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन होते हैं. ओके, तो उसी के बेसिस पे दिस थ्री आर ऑल करेक्ट. ओके, so today we will take one last question. Okay, chalo let's take these two questions. In the Parliament of India, the purpose of adjournment motion is what? To allow a discussion on a definite matter of urgent public importance. किसी एक बात कर रहे हैं, कोई एक बात कर रहा है, एक अर्जेंट पब्लिक मैटर का इंपॉर्टेंस का कोई बात निकला है, तो उसमें अगर कुछ ध्यान देने जाना है तो वहां पे हम लोग को ये प्रोसेस फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. दैट इज एन एडजॉर्नमेंट मोशन. लास्टली, which of the following is not correct? Lok Sabha, no confidence motion has to that sound on which is based. In the case of no confidence motion, no condition of admissibility has been laid down. A motion of no confidence was admitted has to be taken up within 10 days. And Rajya Sabha does not empower us to entertain a motion of no confidence. So here we could see the answer to be A. That is, in Lok Sabha, no confidence motion has to set out on the grounds on which it is based. ये किसके लिए लाया है? गवर्नमेंट के लिए लाया है. गवर्नमेंट को यहाँ पे फॉल करना है, गवर्नमेंट को यहाँ पे मेजोरिटी प्रूफ करना है, क्या करना है? तो यहाँ पे किसके लिए लाया है, यहाँ पे बताना पड़ेगा. कहाँ पे? लोकसभा में. राज्यसभा में नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन नहीं लाया जाता है. ठीक है, क्योंकि राज्यसभा में गवर्नमेंट का मेजोरिटी होता नहीं है. ठीक है, जनरली. ठीक है, तो बिकॉज हियर द पीपल्स आर बेसिकली इनडायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ स्टेट्स, नॉट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज. ओके, so this is all for today. Since we were basically talking about this all phenomenons of this MCQs, so we will go ahead with all such number of MCQs. Basically we'll go very fast. Okay, also if you want to join us through our courses, please do come to us, please do contact us via the numbers given in the slides, and also please try to get as many number of questions that is correct over here, and do practice in our home so that you will get a good success in the upcoming prelims. Okay, so we'll meet again tomorrow with the same timing. So that's all for today. Thank you and bye bye.